Hey there and welcome to the next lesson with the next powerful feature of Figma. We're going to talk about variants, and before I show you variants, I'd like to make sure that we recall one more function, and this is swapping. I need to make sure that we have that in the Figma section as well. Here are the icons, and you can easily just browse and use all of the material icons from this library that we've created. The names are consistent with material icon naming and the thing that we have in Webflow. So if I create a frame and let's say I search for this specific icon in the assets, I position it in the center of our frame. Now I can easily swap this icon with this little dialog box that I can click on. In the right hand side, you have the ability to exchange this icon and use whatever else icon you want from here. For example, this one. You can also swap the icons by just dragging them from the assets. If you press and hold Option Alt when you drag, this will also stay in place with all the properties that you add. But if you swap from there, all the properties will be inherited as well. So the colors, the sizing of the icon, everything will stay in place if you swap it. This is really useful, and also you can browse different categories of icons. As you can see, those are field icons, and we have the name of the icon. But material icons has different versions of those. So we have field, we have outlined, and everything is grouped in here, and you can easily just swap the instances, not only for icons specifically, but you can swap different components. So oftentimes I just design my landing page and I click on one of the components. For example, I place the hero component in here, and then I just duplicate this component, Command D, or I just press and hold Option and then create another instance, and I replace it from here. It's super easy to find another component from this menu, and we don't have to use assets for that. So remember about swapping. Remember that you can do it from either assets panel, you can drag and drop holding Option, you can do it in the right hand menu, or you can just copy and paste. And by the way, if you mess around with the properties of this instance, you can click on this little dots and reset all overrides. I also want to make sure that you know that if you just change this component and you want to go back to its original version, you can just reset the overrides, and that's it. Now, let's go to the function that I wanted to show you from the beginning. This is the variant. So if we switch to our pages and let's select the nav menu, we have the horizontal nav menu that I just explained in one of the previous lessons. But there's one more feature to this menu, and you can see that item 1 has a little border and the text is black, while all the other items are in this inactive state. And this is actually accomplished with states function. You can click on any of these items and you can change the state from inactive to current, and that would be the active state for the menu tab. And you can change it individually for all the items that you have here. So how is this accomplished in Figma? Whenever you see this dashed line, it means that there is a component definition, but this component also have different states. And here is the definition of the nav menu item horizontal, and you have two states, this current and inactive states. Those states are defined for this one component that we have in the section called variants. You can change the name for this. Those can be states, those can be whatever you like, and you just define different versions of these components, and you can give it a name. Then inside of the other components, if you nest those, you can simply change the state to, let's say, current, active, or inactive. And we use it everywhere across SystemFlow. So for example, you have these radio buttons and checkboxes, and everything has its on and off state. For example, this is super easy and straightforward, so that you can in other components easily change the state that you currently have it in. But for more sophisticated components, for example, for avatars, we also created states. As you can see, this avatar component has a lot of different versions in the dashed line, and we have size version, we have label, and also we have layout. The funny thing is that you can combine all those states and mix and match them together. So let's create a new frame. I'm going to search for avatar, and as I said, I prefer to use the list view because then I know what is which component is which, and I don't have to hover to preview the name. So I want to use this avatar component. Let's position it in the center, and now this has a lot of options to set in the variants menu. So we have this size, label, and layout. Let me switch the label. So now we have the label, and this is in a combination with the other elements. So for example, large. If I switch to small, I have label on, but now I don't have the subtitle visible. So you can go back to default size, you can switch to large, and you have the subtitle here. And for the layout, you can also change it with combination with the other functions. So for example, if you want to use vertical layout, you can still have it with the label or without the label. And you can have this vertical layout being small, default, or big. And you can see that this changes also. So this is pretty cool. You can mix and match different variants, and variants are pretty powerful concept in Figma. You don't really have the definition of variants in Webflow, and this is something that you want to use in Figma to work even more efficiently. Thanks a lot for attention in this lesson. I see you in the next one.